There really is a straitjacket, muzzle, and chains as you walk in the front door of the violin shop. And not only was Jacob Steiner thrown into prison for heresy, but many great musicians were also chased through the streets and thrown into stockades, or even worse, burned at the stake with their instruments. Almost all of them were innocent of any crimes against humanity. Yet, it only takes one or two musicians willing to sell their souls for a little more virtuosity, or just the rumor of a single Master Luthier making evil instruments to accompany one's suicide, to really sour the attitude of a fanatic medieval clergy. There has always been good and evil in this world, and the violin is capable of both at its highest level. And it wasn't until years after the death of Jacob Steiner that his instruments were almost universally acclaimed as the voice of angels and played in most of the great cathedrals throughout Europe. And even then, it was mostly due to the powerful influence of Antonio Stradivari. You might not think that a Master Luthier's wood collection would have to be so extensive. Yet each tree and the wood from it is just as unique as each musician. And realize that a virtuoso will have a closer relationship and spend more time with their master violin than they will with their best friend, their family members, and spouse, all put together. When you're contemplating a relationship that serious, the matchmaker must have every option possible so that you end up fulfilled because they are the perfect pieces of wood for you. It takes two trees to make a master violin. Spruce is used for the top or belly, and it must be very straight and fine-grained. It must also have that extremely rare, strong, and narrow winter growth. You know, the kind that they say no longer exists. It must be split or quarter sawn in the direction shown in the last video, and after it's waxed and cured while hanging from the ceiling for at least a decade or two, it must be then opened like a book and joined together. That way, the finest and strongest grain supports the weight of the bridge in the center of the instrument, while the wider, more flexible grain runs along the edges for the freest, quickest responding instrument possible. The spruce is what gives a fine violin its sweetness or feminine voice. I don't mean to interrupt the tour or the lesson, but ow, that hurt. A bit of advice if you do decide to adjust the spotlight for your first music video. Make sure that everything is tightened. Watch out for pinch points. And don't almost completely cut off the last 3/4 of an inch of your index finger. It's been over a month and a half now, and I'm just now able to bend it enough to put it on the strings. And when I do, it feels like I'm playing the violin with my big toe. Okay, I know, excuses are not accepted at the Romantic School of Music. So, let's continue. The back, ribs, and scroll, on the other hand, are made from curly maple, also known as flamed maple, tiger maple, or fiddleback maple. It can be one-piece quarter sawn, one-piece slab cut, or by far the most popular, two-piece quarter sawn that's opened up and joined in the center like the belly. The maple can have wide flames, narrow flames, or in extremely rare cases, no flames at all. The flames not only affect the beauty of a master violin, but also the tone and character of the instrument itself. There are many variables that go into making a master violin. But, in general, all other things the same, the wider and deeper the flame, the mellower and deeper the sound. The maple is what gives a master violin its deep power or its masculine voice. The relationship between the spruce and the maple is a lot like marriage. Sometimes you can take two of the most wonderful people in the world, bring them together, only to have them fight like cats and dogs for the rest of their life. Think of this as the screeching sounds heard from many of those cheap, mass-produced violins out there. On the other hand, it is also possible to bring together two of the most different kinds of woods, or to continue with this analogy, people, and have all of their differences complement each other, where the result can only be described as beautiful music.